Bec Connolly.
Hi, I'm Susie from Women's Fight News, and today I'm joined by British boxer Bec Connolly. So thank you very much for joining me, Bec. And thank you very much considering what's been going on. It sounds very crazy what's been going on with you lately.
It's been a bit of a month, that's for sure. Well, 6 months.
I understand it's things like with COVID, it's affected your business, then obviously it's affected boxing, sponsorship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like been snowballing, really. It's been one thing after another. And I don't think, well, I wasn't expecting the lockdown after Christmas. And this has been the one that has really lost, because before, like, some of my clients were obviously social distancing, but outside you were allowed to PT still, and no one was really as strict as they're this time. And this time they're not interested. They've really gone downhill, like mental health wise, everything. I've not been able to reach people, and they're just literally not interested in looking after their health at the moment. They're just staying in. And I know everyone's struggling, but both businesses have pretty much gone now. So I'm going to be building up. I'm hoping my clients will come back to me when everything's back to normal. But of course, their businesses, like, I'm speaking to people, like, I'm still checking in with them because I've known them a long, long time. And some of them are really worried about their jobs. Some of them have lost their jobs. Some of them have lost their wives and husbands during this, because the marriage has been under the stress of being at home. And it's, yeah, there's vast and varied reasons. But personally, I've lost businesses that I'd worked my ass off for to build up over the years. Just to, like, they weren't great, but they were enough to feed my family and keep a roof over my head and go on a few nice holidays. That it was enough to get by. So yeah, I'm gutted about that. And of course, boxing was what I did for my main job. I fight. I'm not a journeywoman. I'll never be a journeywoman, but I fight 6 times a year minimum, and I rely on that money. And like, when I was selling tickets, I bring a big crowd with me, and I knew I was always going to make a certain amount each fight. When COVID first hit, we were 2 weeks out from a fight, completely lost all that money. And then I was lucky enough, I know a lot of boxers hadn't been out at all this year, but I was lucky enough to get out once, and that's it. I've had one fight in nearly 18 months. And so my sponsors, they endeavoured to stay with me, and some of them absolutely have. But my main financial sponsors, they're like, MF Dance is someone that's been with me for years and years, and their dance company's gone really downhill due to COVID. So they're like, we can't pay ourselves, let alone you as well. And I did rely heavily on sponsorship money. So yeah, it's a sob story that everyone's got, I guess, or a lot of people have, but how I've just got to deal with that and try and find a way around that, really. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been amusing and comical and heartbreaking all at the same time.
Yeah, it's been sort of hard to look at on Twitter, really, because it's like, it is comical, like you say, with you being Lady Luck. It's like the bad luck, but also just awful because you've been through it.
Do you know what I've and I've said this before in interviews, like, no, like, my old coach Paddy, he'd be like laughing his head off right now, because people always ask why Lady Luck, and like, it's because my luck is so bad, and it is comical. Like, if something can go wrong and there's only a tiny percentage chance it could happen, it would definitely happen to me. And like I say, usually it's pretty amusing. And the last 6 months I've been through like a terribly serious time at home, and that's been awful. But coming out of that, my luck has just like spiraled downhill with lots of little things, and I can laugh at them because it is funny, but at the same time it is really serious, because I do have children, I do have mouths to feed, and I did have a standard of life that I like to give them, and like, that is no more. So I'm finding creative ways to make money. We're doing a month of Take Your Bec to Work with you. So this week I've had the pleasure of being a forensic cleaner.
I saw that. I mean, that's crazy.
I thought as a soldier I'd seen like some some pretty, like, I wasn't going to be shocked by anything. And I can tell you I was shocked in the first 5 minutes. I was like, how has this even happened? But I think at one point midweek when I heard the sentence, their mum and dad's in the front room, but you've got to put them in separate bags. I was like, why is that? Because they're divorced. I was like, oh my God, you can write this script. I was like, okay, think about Dad. You just really got to laugh. But next week I am a scaffolder's assistant, so gonna see how that one goes. But yeah, I'm intrigued to try as many different jobs as I can, really.
So at least it's keeping things interesting.
This is it. It has been quite funny because obviously trying to get the kids on the bus to school instead of taking them in the car and stuff like that, and they're not used to those kind of things, and it's been a bit chaotic, but they're coming out every night and they're like, what did you see today? Like, wow. Whereas boxing is pretty boring for them now. They're like, what did you do? Oh, I did some shadow boxing, did some drills, had a few rounds sparring.
They're not making you a list of all the different careers you want to try.
Well, I've been doing it. I did find it funny in the end, so I have been putting it on social media, and I am really, really grateful to the people that have supported me, especially the ones that have been like, come work with us back. Like, that's fun. But a lot of the lads were like, you won't be able to do a day on site and be able to train afterwards. All your training, pretending you're a superwoman, but you don't do a hard day's labour first. I was like, we'll see.
It's like a red rag to a bull.
That's making work, boys. Still in the gym, aren't I? I bet you didn't cook 5 dinners first, did you? No.
But it says you still got to work, childcare, making sure your children are all okay and fed and washed.
You have to dim it down for blokes, don't you? Like, no, of course I couldn't.
And then also, on top of that, is all the other things that have gone on. Like you saying you got bitten by a dog and you had a car accident.
I know, all in a week. Like I'll take the serious stuff aside, but the fire at home. So that happened on the Sunday, and then so my hands are really, really hurting. I've bandaged them up for Monday, and I'm thinking, right, I'm not boxing till Wednesday. Hopefully, like it'll have cleared up a little bit. So Monday, something else had happened with my daughter and the schools and that, and I'm just like, right. I said to Craig on the Monday, I said, tomorrow I'm just putting this aside. The alarm is going off at 5:30. I'm doing my run, and it's going to be a good day, whether any of this rubbish keeps happening or not, because this is like 6 weeks in of bad luck at this point. And so I hear a beep in the van on the way, and I'm like, yeah, I'm running. Like, this is absolutely fine. And I was so shocked. Like, I went into shock, I think, because just out of nowhere, a German Shepherd bit me. I've still got the scar and like the blood teeth mark in me. Like, and it was 3 tracksuit bottoms, so it was quite like extreme. And
it's quite bad from the picture, you did.
Oh yeah, I've never been bitten before, like at all. So I kind of like, and I can have a mouth like a pirate sometimes, like absolutely, and I'm like notorious for it in the pub or when I'm going off. And for the first time ever, I had a legitimate reason with the owner there, and I turned awfully posh. Just really, really bad. Ran off around the corner, and then I'm on the phone. He said, "Why are you crying? Did it hurt that bad?" I was like, "The dog didn't like me. Dogs usually love me."
No.
But yeah, I was a bit gutted because yeah, it's horrible to have a scar and what have you, and I was a little bit in shock. And then I'm thinking, I don't want to be one of those people that report a dog and get it put down, but then at the same time, I don't want to be the person that didn't, and then it's child face height. So I was just like, oh,
yeah,
didn't know what to do. So that happened, and then yeah, the rest of the week, so I'm back training, trying to persuade everyone to give me the fights that I want. And again, it was in one of my moments of, right, you've just got to face this head on. Let's deal with this. You've got your cleaning job starting tomorrow. Pull out of the gym. I was like, that. I am so sorry. It was all my own fault, being distracted. And he's been like pretty decent about it, but it's just very, very costly when you damage someone else's car. So all week I was thinking, I'm working for nothing. I'm literally working to pay that car accident off. So yeah, what a load of rubbish luck. But I was scared to wake up the next day. I was like, can we get the voodoo doll off me? And then today, like, I walk in, like, I've been sent to a different cleaning job today. And I said, yeah, I can definitely make it over there, like, within 10 minutes if you give me a chance to go and put some different clothes on. Walked into the house and my daughter's like, there's a problem in the front room. And I'm like, what? She's like, I think the water from the bath is coming through the ceiling. I was like, so then I'm in the car trying to drive to the job and I'm on the phone. I'm like, can we get a plumber around really, really quickly? It's all fixed. He said, let the ceiling dry. I'm sat here with the ceiling dripping down now. He said, let it dry out, paint, it'll be fine. So fingers crossed.
Crazy that with, you know, the leaking there, the fire, everything. Just...
It's literally a voodoo doll. Someone's got it in for me.
But at least you're still smiling.
Yeah, you can only laugh at this point, I think. Like, and I always sort it out. Like, these bouts of bad luck happen, and I have a lot of stories over the years. It's like, how did that even happen to anyone? But I just know that we're going to come out the other side of it eventually. The money thing is really, really worrying. I'd forgotten, because I've had really dark times in my life, like previously before, and I've been proper, like, people always say when you're broke you're different to when you're poor, and I've been proper poor before, like where there's no cash flow, there's no credit cards, there's no emergency fund, there's no nothing, and that's a really scary place to be. And this was the first time, like, because I'd worked my way out of that and I'd stabilized the businesses and everything else, and I was like, I don't want credit, I don't want this, I don't want that. And then I was like, oh, maybe you need to get credit again quickly. And I had like a couple of weeks where you're applying for stuff where I was like, we're in a bad way here, like a bad situation. I'm looking at my van, like, we've got £3.6p. Dust, anyone? Want some dust for tea? It's very very low fat. I was like, I'll make flyweight at least. But yeah, it's all right for me, because as an adult you can choose, can't you? Like, if you go hungry for a few days and you sort it out, you're all right. But you can't, like, expect little uns to do that.
So you're known for being a fighter, really, in terms of in your life as well as in the ring, because you've been through a lot in your life, haven't you? So and got through it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, and I wouldn't advise. I'd change it if I could. But it's made me the woman that I am today, I guess. And I do know that every dark time I go through, and like, you're misunderstood a lot. I think whenever anyone's striving to do something, achieve anything, or be more than what the people around them are maybe striving to be, or more than you are or were yesterday, there's all, and I was sat down very early on when I wanted to do this and told that I would have to grow thick skin, like, because there was going to be haters galore, and you're going to be criticized, you're going to be misunderstood, people are going to look for the wrong in you, people are going to look for, like, they're not going to like you being praised, they're going to look for what you do wrong, they're not going to highlight what you do right, they're going to really try and derail your character, like defamation of character, everything else. And I was like, okay, no, like, as long as I'm okay with me, that's fine. But of course, like, you're human. That saying, like, it's not the water around the ship that sinks, it is the water you let in. And there's some things that you can't help but let in, and, like, yeah, it's not nice. And I think for me, the thick skin's always been just show, because I do feel everything so deeply, and I do take it on board, and I do, like, and I think that's probably the reason why I go out of my way to be nice to people and make everyone feel welcome, because I know what it's like to be made to feel like absolute rubbish, and like you're not good enough, and that there's something wrong with you. And I hate that, and I hate people that look for the dirt. It's so easy to find the dirt in someone. We're all human, we all do a million things a day that are absolutely shit. And it's so easy to find what's wrong with someone, but is if you find what's right with them and pick out the gold in them, then they become a better person. And that's why I love PT, because I'm really good at finding the gold in people and like just emphasizing that. And if you build on that and you build up the good points, all the bad stuff sort of like gets less and less and less, and then you're filled with like all these good people around you. And I'm just like, why can't everyone build each other up? Like, why do we have to tear each other down? And I think women are particularly very, very bad at it, in my experience. Like, they love to tear each other down, and that's such a shame, because we'd be so much stronger if we came together instead of apart. But yeah, I think that for me is the toughest part of it, being judged and critiqued. And even if I don't agree with it, it's still like I go to bed at night with it and I think, oh, people think that, someone thinks that about me, and I don't like it at all. But it's part and parcel of it, and you just got to suck it up, I guess. Literally.
And in terms of, because obviously you're saying, because I wasn't sure if you're still managing to get to training or not with all your all your billion jobs and everything, but you're saying you're still managing to get out there and do it.
Yeah, training is really, really important to me anyway, just as a person. I think that, like, I love fighting, like I can't imagine a time without it. But even if I couldn't fight anymore, even if something terrible happened tomorrow and they said you can never fight again, I would still train, because I love training. I don't always love every part of it, but I think the benefits far outweigh everything else. But yeah, the training, fight camp training, like I'm not in camp at the moment, but I've put myself in camp because you know that fights are going to come up eventually, and your body's just in pieces, and your mind's so intense with it all. And yeah, I did see this week, because I'm very, like I said before, I was very like lucky is the wrong word, because I really worked hard for those businesses, and there was times when I was making minus money for years. But I was very fortunate that I got to a stage where I had such a good client base, and I could arrange my day how I wanted. Like if I had, like, I'd do the coach, like boxing coaching, I'd go in for my drills and skills like 10 till 12, and then I'd make sure I scheduled in my coffee break. I'd go see a client here, go do that. If I had to do the school run, it was all on my terms. Like, I wouldn't put a client where I've got to do something. Whereas when you're working for someone else and it's from 8 till 5, like everything else goes out the window, doesn't it? But okay, my school runs at this time. Where's my coffee? I can't pop and see Rachel. I can't, like, all the little things that I like here, there and everywhere. And I realized I do a lot of my errands, like, and I work the weekends as well, but it's where I do like weekend errands during the week, and you just manage your own timetable, don't you? So I think Greg was saying to me, like, you're going to come a cropper when you realize how tough it is, like doing a manual labor job and trying to get to training afterwards. So I was like, and I was so determined this week that I smashed out the training on top of it. But last night, oh my word, I could barely sit down on the thing. My glutes are on fire. I was just like, yeah, it's time to admit defeat. It was date night as well, so I was like, well, if you're tired, like, I don't mind if you cancel. I was like, no, damn it. I was like, okay. Trying to suck it out. Yeah, I'm fine. Handling it really well.
So you're sort of fight ready. So if a fight comes up, you're ready to go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Super featherweight, I can make in a couple of days. Like, it's not an issue at all. I like fighting at super bantam and bantamweight as well, but that takes, I'd need a little bit more notice, a few weeks notice for that. Anything really, like, I will take anything, but 3 weeks plus notice is what I'd prefer, because the sparring's just not there at the moment because of COVID. Like, the sparring that I'm getting is very, very limited. It's not the sparring that I was having in camp before, because we were going to go up and help like Rachel Ball and Gavin and that out for their fights, getting them ready and the sparring up there, and they've got quite a few good girls up there, so it's always great sparring. But COVID and people, like, everything's gone crazy, so we haven't been able to do that. So yeah, just getting back on it really. But I'm a little bit different, because I do want to be a technical fighter, and I'm working very hard to be a technical fighter, but at the end of the day, I know I can pull a fight out of the bag on no notice, because I fight with my heart on my sleeve. Like, it's just from the inside out. Yeah, it is what it is. You want to see great class technical boxing, give me a little bit of time. Want to see a scrap, I will go for it tomorrow.
So you were saying you'd quite like to go for Commonwealth. That'd be a goal for you.
That has always been my, like, when I started out in the pros, the Commonwealth was what I wanted, and obviously getting the shot with Rachel Ball 18 months ago now, that was what I really wanted to leave, like, not leave boxing on, but if that was the only thing I achieved before I left, I was going to die a happy lady with that. And that still is the goal. And obviously I'm rifles as well, so the Commonwealth's quite an important belt to the army, and just my family, like, everything about it really. That is my absolute dream. I love the 10 rounds. I'm built for distance, not for speed. I don't know whether that's just me or my age, but yeah, I'd happily do the 3-minute rounds. Like, my fitness is probably what sets me apart from a lot of the others. And I hated the amateurs as well. I hated the quick, like, 3 rounds, everything else. It just wasn't for me. The pros suited me so much better. 6 rounds is probably the minimum amount that I'd want to do, because I don't know, take a little while to warm up and settle into a fight. I need to be able to, like, my coach is having a massive go at me for that. He's like, you don't chuck away rounds. I'm like, I'm just warming up. Settling in. Just seeing what she's got. He's like, you're not. You're calming yourself. I was like, well, we'll work on it. Teach an old dog new tricks. But I do know I'm hoping Eddie will go for some of the suggestions I put forward through Al. Like, Al's, like, been brilliant. Like, he's been my manager since Paddy left in June, July. So massive changes last year. But Al's got a great sense of humour. He's been really funny. I've been putting all my proposals to him, and he's like, don't you think they're going to go for that one? I was like, wow, if anyone can work their magic, it's you. Come on. Let's go for it.
What fights do you want? What's your idea?
I'd really like we were suggested before the Ramla Ali fight. I think that'd be good. Like, I don't know Ramla personally, but I know her through my friend, because I fought a girl, Harry Healy, in the quarters in the amateurs and lost. Harry fought Ramla in the finals, got put in hospital, and they've been really good friends ever since. And I've stayed friends with, it just so happened Healy was my maiden name, so on the board it was like Connolly versus Healy. I was like, we're screwed today. So yeah, we've been friends ever since, so that was sort of a connection there. And I was like, I'd really like the Ramla Ali fight, and they were keen, but just not yet, like a few more fights time. But I'm thinking, the crowds come back for the June fight, don't they, for the AJ Fury at Wembley. AJ manages Ramla Ali, and she's out again in March, I think. So she's got time to get the fights that she wants under her belt first, and I think that'd be a really good match for me putting myself forward for Wembley. I think that'd be great.
What an event that would be.
Let's go, Eddie. Come on.
Why not?
Definitely sell the sponsorship on that one. Make a girl very happy.
I was going to say,
why not get any training in? Because I'd be like selling here, there, and everywhere. There's loads of people around our weights now, between bantam and super feather. The division is about to get saturated with all the new girls turning over. And I've sparred a lot of them, and there's some real good talent out there, and the future is bright. And the depth of divisions will get much bigger for now. But I am sort of like, I don't know, I kind of see myself as the last of the old, sort of the gap between the new and the old. And I think I've fought my way to the position that I'm in at the moment, which is kind of like the gatekeeper. Like, if you can't get past me, you're not going to the top of the pros. Like, you're not as a female. You need to fight you need to fight past the gatekeepers. And I think I've kind of earned my place there. There was lots of people ducking and diving fights and not taking the big names and not wanting to fight the best. And I've never said that. And I've always said, I don't care what's written on paper. Have you seen the women that I've been in with? And have you seen their, like, yeah. So there's integrity. I think there's integrity in what I've done, and I sleep easy on it. But that's not to say that I don't want to win, because I absolutely do, and I just want to walk out of there with the Commonwealth. That's what I want.
You can tell, like, for instance, with your last fight with Ellie, you were just so tough. You just kept going and kept going. And
well, the bookies really pissed me off, because they were all saying that I was going to be out of there in 2 rounds. And it was like really high odds, and I was like, nah, get fucked. I was like, I'm gonna go distance. I said to my mate, put the distance on there. And we knew what we were up against with Scotney. Like, we knew what Ellie was about. We, like, you as a pro, you're around the amateurs, aren't you? Like, it's very easy as a fan, if you're into boxing, to not know any of the amateurs that are coming up and through, and especially if you're into male boxing, you perhaps don't know anything about female boxing. And it's very easy to see, like, oh, this is a seasoned pro against an absolute newbie. But we didn't take any of that rubbish. We knew what she was about. We knew the one fight that she'd lost was because she had an upset stomach in India. Like, we were like, she wouldn't have lost that. She's a real talent. She's a special girl, and she's a nice girl. And she earned her shot that night. And yeah, there was lots of things that could have done a lot different, a lot better. I just changed coaches after 9 years with Paddy, and that was difficult. Obviously, being in COVID was difficult, in the bubble. Like, everything was completely and utterly different. Hadn't fought for over a year, ring rust. Like, it was really nerve-wracking. I won't say it's not. And as I say, I had loads of that stuff going on at home, and it was really difficult to sort of separate the two and try and focus. And yeah, mad time. But and the ring walk was shocking. Like, I love the ring walk. That is the one bit that I thrive off of, the crowd, like the energy, like that's your time. And this time I got up there, and there's a little man like telling you when to walk, and I'm like looking, he's like, walk. I was like, there's nothing. He was like, shadow box. I was like, oh. Leave me on now. He's like, yes. Okay, I'll just walk. But it's madness, because most people, like, if you look at that stage and that like ring walk, and you know how many people are watching back home, like numbers that you can't, like, I'd never even can't imagine that. If you just told me that I had to walk down that runway, like, I'd be pretty nervous as a person, let alone being told, right, you've got to walk, and that's the least of your worries, because someone is going to try and take your head off in a minute. Like, yeah, I'm real proud of myself that I put myself through it, because nothing comes easy to me, and nothing is like, this is what I do. Like, I do love it, like, I absolutely love it, but it's not because it's not hard. But I find it so difficult, the cusp of not being able to do it sometimes. But I trust me, and I just know that I always am going to go through with it. I'm always going to be able to pull out a performance, and I often in the pros haven't got the results that I wanted, which is absolutely heartbreaking. And I do, like, it really breaks my heart, like, really. I think after the Rachel Bull fight, that I was in a bad way. I was really gutted. Like, I've never had a heartbreak like that, I don't think. So yeah, I don't take any of it lightly, and I certainly, the critique and everything else, I take it all on board. And also, when you get the level of support that I do, it's kind of that guilt as well. Like, you've supported me through camp, you've financially supported this, you've given like time and effort into me, and I haven't got you the result you wanted.
But then you've done your best. I mean,
yeah,
some of these names, you mean, like you said, you've not shied away from it. You've fought all the big, the big British names out there, haven't you?
Yeah. So it swings and roundabouts in my head. Like, I get it. and I accept it, and I like congratulate myself on some of it, and then but yeah, inside, like, yeah, it weighs heavy, definitely. But I think you have just got to do it for you, haven't you, and not put any pressure on doing it for someone else and other sponsors or anything. Just get out there. But I'm hoping that I've got many. I feel like the problem is when you fight like I do, you're in wars every time, and everybody's only got so many wars in them, and that plays on my mind a little bit, especially now that because you don't know whether you're starting to forget things. Like I'll go upstairs sometimes and I'll be like, why am I upstairs? What should I? My mum's like, oh, that's totally normal, everyone does that past a certain age. I'm like, 25. But it plays on my mind, like, how long are you going to get away with this, and how long is it going to all be okay? And the thought of it, like, I'm thinking in my head, I've got at least another 10 good fights and good wars in me. But hopefully, fingers crossed, just the first one would be good this year.
Yeah, get back into the swing of it.
Oh, be so good. It's really interesting, boxing, because you don't realise how different you are when you have boxing in your life than when you don't, because obviously I do it for a living as well. Like, training is never ever going to be an issue or anything. I will always do that. But when you're not focused with your eating, your drinking, and you haven't got a deadline or a purpose, it's really, really difficult not to give in to yourself at the weekends. Like, oh, what am I doing this for? Do I want to go for that takeaway? Do I want to drink that? Do I want to sit with a packet of Maltesers in front of the TV? Like, it's just those little things. You think, boxing, you're so disciplined, you wouldn't even consider it, and yet just for yourself you would. No, that's madness. But yeah, it is what it is.
That's what a lot of people are struggling with, aren't they, at the moment, with the whole lockdown, especially. And there's been a lot of shock sort of results in boxing over the whole of COVID, because I think people just perhaps haven't been ready.
Yeah, as much as I hate like what COVID's done to boxing and everything else, it has done a few good things, because it's made everyone have to fight everyone, where they had to fight British. They couldn't duck and dive that, so I liked that. And yeah, it has thrown some spanners in the work and some shocks out there, and you've seen who's been working, who hasn't, and who wants it and who doesn't, and who was quite happy to sit behind some journeymen and women for quite some time yet. And yeah, it's been interesting as a fan as well. It's been really interesting. Yeah.
And then talking about sort of money, because obviously we've been talking about how things are difficult for you at the moment. If we talk about sort of pay in women's boxing, because it's like you have been on a Matchroom event recently, and it's just a shame that women aren't paid more, because if, for instance, in your case and other people's case, if you've been paid more along your career, would you be in the position you are now?
No. And I think coming from as much as I accept it's just a business model, and until people start watching women's boxing like they do male boxing, it's not going to happen. But then the likes of the top end of it, like I'm sure the likes of Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas and that are earning a very, very decent wage. I've been in a gym obviously with all lads the whole time through, so I think the Commonwealth, like when I went for that, like I had to pay the house, the opponent, the fees to the show, and that came to like $4,000 before I'd even started making any money for me with ticket sales. So you can imagine how many tickets I sold for that, and I think I managed to make myself £800 for a 10-round fight. And I was just like, woke up with my eye socket broken. I was like, is this even worth it anymore? Like, at all. And then, like, obviously, when you go away and you get paid, like, it's nice to get a good 3, 4, 5 grand in your back pocket. Brilliant. But you know damn well that they're getting 3, 4, 5 times that. So it's, swing around about.
And it sort of hits home more like when I'm seeing your situation now, where I just feel like perhaps you shouldn't be in this situation if they paid more. And then I think the same with like someone like Heather Hardy, where you see that she's like you know, been the top of the sport. She's you know, been a face of boxing, and yet COVID hits, and it's very difficult for her because again, she's not being paid the money to have in the bank to fall back on.
And she was one of the first women that ever inspired me into the sport. Like, she's the reason I turned over pro, to be honest. And I really admire how she stuck to her guns, like saying, no, we're not fighting for peanuts. We're going to wait until I'm getting this amount. And I think that's great. I'm not in that position because I've never commanded that kind of, I've only ever commanded the kind of money that I've been able to hustle for. And I do sell. And that is the only thing that I'm pushing now at the moment, is like, even on a losing record, I bring an army of people with me, and I know that would grow and grow and grow. And it, like, yeah, that is my selling point, that I do sell and I can bring in the numbers. So yeah, hopefully fingers crossed, there's a run of bad luck before a real big breakthrough. That would be a good story, wouldn't it? Yes.
Definitely a popular fighter. You can see on social media. Everyone talks quite highly of you, and you know, the fans. So you know, after the Ellie Scotney fight, everyone's still raving about how tough you were and how they want to see you back in the ring. And
yeah, they were all so good, weren't they? Like, I was really nervous, like Twitter especially, because like you kind of like, you got your core people on Instagram and Facebook, haven't you, that follow you around the country, and like, you know, kind of a lot more people. But Twitter, you're kind of vulnerable to the world, and they go savage, don't they? Like, they are savage. So I was a bit nervous after the fight. I was like, oh, are you ready for this critique? I knew what I'd done wrong in the fight. I knew what I needed to improve on, and I knew what I needed to do to adjust, and I didn't. So I was dreading hearing that. And actually, like you said, they were so good. And it was the same, like, after I commentated on the Katie Taylor fight and the Rachel Ball fight and that, and I was again dreading, like, I really enjoyed it and I was trying to do a good job, I really was, and I was thinking, oh, Twitter's going to be so savage. And I logged in and I was so shocked at how nice everyone had been. Like, I was like, oh, this is excellent. Like, it really built my confidence up. Like, because I think that's another thing. People always think like you must be a really confident person to fight, and you must, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I'm probably one of the most insecure people you'll ever meet, and least confident people. But I've just got to really, like, I don't know, it's not because I'm confident, I've just got to really, like, I am just who I am, and I just put it forward anyway, regardless of how I'm feeling. And I don't know, I just like having a laugh, really. So, but yeah, they're definitely not confidence. It's not confidence. But it'd be nice to get some eventually, I think. But yeah, Twitter goes mental on you, and it's like, oh God, I'm actually quite insecure. And that picture took me putting like a tan filter on to feel okay about that. Because no, there's no sunbeds for like a year now. Like, I'm like that. Oh my goodness, I'm lily white everywhere. Put a tan on, come on.
I remember them saying when you were in the bubble as well that everyone thought you're a real laugh and in the bubble before the fight.
Yeah, they were really cool actually, because obviously my life's manic. I think any mum, like, of any more than 2-3 kids, and your life is just crazy anyway without all of this. So when I got there and they told me to stay in my room, I was like, and the Matchroom staff, the security staff especially, they were so much fun and they were so good, and they were like, where are you going, Connolly? Just down the corridor. They're like, get in the security room.
Enjoying your freedom.
Well, I didn't want to go over to like the main area, because even though Ellie was really nice, I was like, we're still fighting. It's a bit weird that you're bumping into like who you're gonna fight.
Were you in rooms next door at all? Because the reason I ask is because Carly Skelly and Amy Timlin ended up in the rooms next door to each other. So I just wondered if that was standard or not.
Oh, see, I deliberately I think it has happened quite a bit, but I deliberately like tried to stay out the way. and it was really awkward. So that took the sort of breakfast socializing time down, and because I was like cutting quite a bit of weight as well, I was like, well, this is boring, I've got nothing to do apart from go crazy with fear. So yeah, no, the security staff, doorman I guess, for Matchroom, they were excellent. Like, they were a right laugh, and they were keeping me company. And that Joseph Laws, he was in the bubble as well, and he was quite a character. And then David Diamante as well. So yeah, I was like that. I'm a pretty big fan. Can I get a picture, please? And then he sat down chatting, and I was like, oh, can you say my name?
Record it.
Exactly that. So David said my name. And then I thought I better get to bed because I was fighting the next day, but I was gutted. I was like, oh, I could have stayed up with it. But no, it's a good laugh, it's a good crack, and I definitely, like, yeah, I don't mind all the like media stuff, and that it broke up the day, and yeah.
Nice to have the photo shoots. I think they're quite good, aren't they? The bubble photo shoots.
Felt well awkward. I was like, adds £10, adds £10. They took the photos at the beginning of the week as well. I was like, I haven't got them. Let me
Oh, wait, that final weight cut.
I said, leave it till Friday. I'll look great then when I'm dehydrated.
Talking about the fights, because obviously you fought some big names. So thinking about Super Feather and how there's a big sort of mad dash to become undisputed at the moment, and you know, between Harper and Mayer and also Jonas has sort of been the mix, really. Yeah. Who do you see becoming undisputed?
See, I really rate Mayer as a fighter, to be honest. Like, she is class. There's no way around that. And I really rate Terry as well. And Terry, like, I know firsthand how hard she punches. So it's yeah, it's definitely something either of them could do. Obviously, I'm a Brit, so I'd like the Brit to do it. But Jonas, it annoys me so much that she's not getting the opportunities that she is entitled to, as far as I'm concerned. That fight in the summer, that was an excellent display of women's boxing, and I was so happy for her because she just kind of put all the critics to sleep. And like, watching it that week, like, I was getting angry and angry, especially when they were on the scales and they were making comments, and I was like, she's had a baby, like, she's one of our Olympic heroines. Like, seriously, like. And then she came out of there and everyone was like, they were putting comments underneath like, she's too old, and I'm thinking, well, she's the same age, so you can shut up. But she came out of there and she was so good, wasn't she? She trained so hard for that fight, and the game plan was superb. Like, everything about her was superb that night. She was brilliant, like, absolutely brilliant. And she put everyone saying that she was too old, too slow, too this, too that. She wasn't any of those things, was she? So yeah, yeah. And for Harper as well, because it was a great war to be in, and like a great fight to have on the record. So yeah,
it took the two of them to make it a great fight, didn't it?
Win-win. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think she's in the mix there, as long as she can get those fights.
Yeah, I think she deserves it as well. She's paid her dues. She's fought for this country. She, definitely needs the big fights as well.
I was going to finish up with, if you could give yourself one bit of advice that you know now what you give yourself when you were younger, what would it be?
My actual what it would be, I shouldn't say out loud. Stay away from certain types of people. These are very bad for the long term. Yeah, just be more. I wish I'd had more self-belief, and I wish I had more now, to be honest. But if I'd have had more confidence in my ability back then, and myself in general, more confidence and a belief in myself, so that I'd have gone after the things I wanted, without letting other people talk me out of them or derail me or send me in a different direction or convince me that I wasn't good enough. And that's not in boxing, that's just in life in general. Yeah, I think I'd have been a real high flyer by now, like definitely. Yeah, I wish I kept that little bright spark, like that light in me going when I was younger, and not let that be dulled out by people. I definitely cared too much what other people thought, cared too much about other people's opinions, and that's taken me a long time to not care, but go on regardless. Like, I just don't take much notice of it now. Yeah.
And then also I wanted to finish up with, because obviously with sponsorship, be nice that if there's anyone out there that'd like to sponsor you, what you'd like to say to them as to what they'd get out of it, because obviously they'd get a lot out of it. So what would it be?
Yeah, so I've got, like, as we spoke about before, the social media reach is growing daily, and so I do have quite a wide reach for local businesses and like further afield. I do take on a lot of interviews and people are covering a lot. I think Steve Bunce is just about to cover the work that I've been endeavouring to do lately. Yeah, so you will get your name out there quite a bit. We've just filmed a little documentary as well, and I think we're going to keep doing it. We're going to film the next one for the next camp, so that'd be quite nice for a sponsor to get involved with. I'm also quite keen to get involved with the youth and everything else, so if you wanted to take your business in that direction, I'll be able to represent that. So yeah, I'm happy to, and also I'm happy to, like, I'm a nutritionist and personal trainer. That was my business, and I'm happy to take that into workplaces as well. So any of the bigger companies that think their workers on return are going to be struggling with mental health, physical health, or any of those things, and they want to provide an extra service or a point of contact for their employees, I'd be happy to set something up in exchange for sponsorship there as well.
That sounds great.
Yay,
win for them. And then when you're on the AJ Fury undercard.
Oh my goodness, what better publicity could a sponsor want, Ellie? Come on. Give a girl a chance.
Oh, it's been brilliant.
So, yeah, I don't want it handed to me on a plate, but I just need the opportunity to go out there and make a name for myself. And if I get given that opportunity on a fight card like that, I will absolutely run with it. And they won't be sorry, and I will put on a real good night of entertainment. And so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
We're guaranteed to go in there and give it a good fight, aren't you?
Wow, there you go. It's gonna be a war no matter what. Stubborn war.
Well, it's been great to talk to you, and I really hope you get some better luck coming in your way.
Yeah, so do I. It's got to turn around soon. Although I'm going to stop saying that because that jinxes it, so can't do that.
I don't want to be reading any more on Twitter now. I want it to be good news, not bad news.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But in the meantime, I'm writing a comedy sketch, so we'll have a book if nothing else at the end of it.
Sounds like it'd be a good hit.
Yeah. Got to sell stories somewhere.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Bec. Thanks for your time.
No, thank you. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit like. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future content, and why not check out any other videos on the channel. You can follow Women's Fight News on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.